We got another video. This one is from Hood Politics. I've been watching them for some time now, ever since I was like in Miami, bruh. Like it's been some time. But this video is called Grape Street Crips Use Instagram to lure victims to their deaths. The story of Jameli and Milian.
Welcome to Hood Politics. In this episode, I will be discussing the story of Jemele Hill and Milian Colquitt. The facts of the case are as follows. On Thursday, October 15th, 2020, at around 11 p.m., 5 teenagers were riding in a rented Range Rover on their way to meet up with some girls. A 17-year-old young man named Jemele Hill was driving. His cousin, 16-year-old Milian Colquitt, was in the front passenger seat, and their friends, DJ, JM, and SK, were in the back seat. The group stopped on Maple Avenue near 122nd Street, and someone dressed in all black approached the driver's side of the SUV and started shooting. Jemele and Milian were each shot multiple times. Jemele sped away as the shooter continued to fire. He lost consciousness and crashed into the back of a car that was parked in a nearby driveway. DJ, JM, and SK got out the SUV to check on Jemele and Milian and then ran to get help. A few minutes later, police and paramedics arrived at the scene and found Jemele and Milian slumped over in the Range Rover. Jemele had been shot 12 times, and Milian had been shot 4 times. Paramedics attempted to help him, but sadly there was nothing they could do, and Jemele Hill and Milian Colquitt were pronounced dead at the scene. Jemele, or affectionately known as Doobie by his family and friends, was a senior at Gardena High School and was scheduled to graduate a few months later.
I heard about Gardena in California. It was D Savage. I think D Savage went to Gardena. Yeah, I think he did go to Gardena. D Savage.
He excelled in football and was being scouted by multiple universities. His teammates called him the heart of the team. He was full of jokes and helped keep their spirits high, even during rough patches. Milian, or affectionately known as Millie by his family and friends, was a junior at Centennial High School in Compton, where he excelled in basketball and was being looked at by multiple universities. He initially wanted to play football, but by the time he tried out for the team, all the equipment had been given to other players. He stuck around for a few weeks in hopes that equipment would become available and even practiced without pads, but after a while, he decided to move on to basketball. Centennial's football coach, Glenn Gates, spoke to the press about Milian. He stated, "He was a good athlete, good basketball player. He could move, he could run, and we definitely could have used him. But he had come out a little too late, and all the other kids had pads already. He waited for a couple of weeks and came out every day. He was active, he wasn't going to sit and watch, and that's what we liked about him." A few months prior to the shooting, Milian lost his mother in a car accident and was being raised by his grandmother. Milian was just 2 weeks shy of his 17th birthday when he was killed. Detectives arrived at the scene and began their investigation. They found 16 9mm bullet casings scattered on the street. They then obtained surveillance footage from a nearby home. The video showed a light-colored Chevy Equinox turned onto Maple Avenue and back into a driveway. 20 minutes later, the Range Rover came driving down the street and someone started shooting into the driver's side window. The SUV sped away and the shooter fell down. A second person dressed in all black ran to the middle of the street as the shooter stood up and continued firing at the SUV. Both suspects then fled the scene.
No one has been arrested yet for shooting and killing 2 teenage cousins last night. They were shot while riding in an SUV before it slammed into a parked car. NBC4's Beverly White shows us the tributes taking place tonight.
Every time I turn off my house lights at night, I hear firecrackers. So I said, there they go with the firecrackers again.
This longtime Willowbrook resident says she was startled by what turned out to be gunshots. Then an SUV crashing in her driveway with shooting victims Jemele Hill and Milian Colquitt inside.
When I walked around the car, I saw the young boy's head leaning to the side. I didn't even see the second guy in the car.
Family says 17-year-old Jemele and 16-year-old Milian were cousins and high school student athletes hanging out last night with friends.
He didn't deserve none of this. Nothing.
LA sheriffs believe someone walked up to the SUV and fired, leaving 3 passengers unhurt. Investigators have no information about the shooters or their motives. Neighbors are stunned.
I thought LA County was getting better than this, to be 16 and 17-year-old getting killed in this kind of violence. I mean, can't even vote.
The homeowner tells us insurance will repair her house and help replace the parked car totaled in the impact. But nothing will heal her sorrow over the senseless murders of 2 children she didn't even know.
It's disturbing. Somebody's children died here in my driveway.
Tributes to Jemele and Milian continue to grow near the driveway where loved ones plan a memorial Saturday afternoon, coming to mourn the cousins they can't believe are gone.
All he wanted to do was play football and go to college, and y'all robbed him of that. Y'all taking innocent lives.
You can take something from somebody, an item, whatever, you can give it back. But a life, you can't give back.
In the days following the murders, there were multiple memorials held in Jemele and Milian's memories. People showed up with pictures, candles, and balloons and shared stories about them. Centennial High posted a message to Milian on the school sign. It read, "Rest in heaven and Apache love, Milian Colquitt." Jamel's teammates and friends held a candlelight vigil at Gardena High in his honor. After hearing that Milian wanted to play football but couldn't due to an equipment shortage, the Los Angeles Chargers donated new uniforms to Centennial and Gardena's football teams. Centennial's helmets had decals with the initials MC in honor of Milian, and Gardena's helmets had decals with the initials JH in honor of Jamel.
The Chargers helped to alleviate a major expense by donating 75 Zenith helmets to each school ahead of the football season. In addition, General Manager Tom Telesco talked to the players during training camp about teamwork and respect.
Is huge. What the Chargers have provided us, at least a good 3 to 5 years of activity, we can go into the community and with confidence to say that we have.
So it took a death for like them to like do that. It took someone to die for them to donate. They ain't want to donate before, but then after someone died, that's when they stepped in.
The equipment is sufficient to be able to allow your son to play safely and confidently to where the parents are not worried about safety.
It came at a better time. We were in need of helmets. The donation from the Chargers and Zenith were just so important for our programs.
Jamel and Milian had a joint funeral service, which was held on Monday, November 9th, 2020. People from all over showed up to pay their respects. Their family and friends took turns hitting the stage and shared memories of them. Afterwards, the attendees caravanned to the cemetery, and Jamel and Milian were buried next to each other. The day after the funeral, authorities announced a $10,000 reward for information leading to the killer's arrest.
The unsolved murders of 2 student athletes last month in Willowbrook continues to haunt their families tonight. As NBC4's Beverly White reports for us, steps are now being taken to help bring their killers to justice.
The teenagers shot and killed October 15th in Willowbrook are Jamil Hill and Milian Colquitt, cousins out with friends that night when someone in the 12,000 block of Maple Avenue fired into their SUV.
Him and Millie didn't deserve that.
Distraught family members flanked detectives today when a $10,000 reward was announced for information that leads to the arrest of the killers. 2020 especially tragic for Milian Colquitt's household. His mother died in a car crash last January.
We done lost 2 people within 1 year. This is his sister. She done lost her mom and her brother within 10 months apart.
Detectives believe Jamil at the wheel saved the lives of 3 other passengers by driving off after he and Milian were shot. The SUV crashing in a stranger's driveway, where the very next day, loved ones erected a memorial to the dead boys.
It's disturbing. Somebody's children died here in my driveway.
With few leads and no motive, LA sheriffs hope the lure of a payday will flush out whoever murdered the schoolboys.
Meanwhile, detectives continued their investigation. They interviewed DJ, JM, and SK about the shooting. Detectives asked about their gang affiliations, and SK told them that he was a member of the Bounty Hunter Bloods, but he didn't have any issues in the area. He told them they were there to meet up with the girl that he met on Instagram. Investigators were curious about the girl and asked SK about her. In September of 2020, a person with the Instagram account name That Sexy Bitch started following SK. He checked out her profile and saw her bio said unbothered. He didn't know her, and they didn't communicate afterwards. On the night of the shooting, the group was driving around in the Range Rover. SK posted an Instagram story saying that it was him plus 4. A few moments later, he posted another story that said, "Let me pull up," with boxes that said yes or no. Unbothered viewed the story and checked yes and left an emoji. After SK saw her answer, he sent her a message telling her that he was going to stop by and to give him the address. Unbothered replied with an address to a home located on Maple Avenue, but said she was getting something to eat and would text him when it was okay for him to come over. SK asked did she have anyone with her, and she said she was with some of her homegirls. She then asked SK if he had anyone with him, and he said he's with his cousin. At about 10:20, SK texted her that he was coming over and asked was it cool for him to come inside the house. She said yes. A few minutes later, the boys pulled up on Maple Avenue. SK tried to FaceTime Unbothered, but she didn't answer. He texted her to come outside, but she didn't reply. He tried to FaceTime her again, but she still didn't answer. A few moments later, Unbothered texted SK asking where he was at, and he replied, "I'm outside," and asked which house was hers. At 11 p.m., he took video from...
You gotta at least FaceTime, like see her face. Did they even bother to check? I ain't gonna lie, the profile looked fake. I ain't gonna lie. The profile looks fake, cause like usually there'd be like highlights. There'll be like stories and like highlights, and you can also check the age of the account. But it don't look like it. It just looks like a fake account to me. Yeah, see, no highlights on there. It just looks fake to me. At 11 p.m., SK sent a video he took from inside the Range Rover where he planned the planned the area to show unbothered his location. The video showed that it had been opened and viewed. SK and his friend sat in the parked Range Rover for a couple minutes. SK tried to call again, but unbothered did not answer.
From inside the Range Rover, he panned to the surrounding houses to show where he was and sent Unbothered the video. She watched it, but didn't reply. The group continued sitting parked on the street for a few minutes. SK tried to call her again, but she still didn't answer. When he looked up from his phone, he saw two people dressed in all black standing on the sidewalk. He then noticed a black figure moving from the back of the SUV towards the front, along the driver's side. A few seconds later, he heard gunshots and seen the driver's window shatter. Jamil sped away as the shooter continued firing at the SUV. Once the Range Rover crashed into the car, DJ, JM, and SK got out the SUV and ran to get help. They returned to the scene once police arrived. Investigators asked for SK's phone and looked into Unbothered's profile. They found that the account was registered to the email address tkmini103@gmail.com. They then saw a phone number linked to the account and traced it back to an 18-year-old man named Tryon Bird. Tryon is a well-known member of the Grape Street Crip.
Yo. So they don't have an actual woman doing it. They're using their own personal email address, their own personal phone number. Like, it can't be traced back to them. Man, all that stuff can be traced back. Like, I'm not telling people how to commit crime, but like, it should be basic. Like, use a fake generator email to generate the email. You could literally use a fake generator to generate an email, so that way when you make the Instagram account, you can get the verification to verify that you have a verified email, and then you're gonna use your phone number.
And goes by the nickname Miniman, and the 103 in the email address represents 103rd Street, which is the heart of Grape Street territory. The bounty hunters in Grape Street are longtime enemies and have been at war for decades. Also, during the search of SK's phone, they saw a photo of a man standing in front of a light-colored Chevy Equinox. The SUV had a bullet hole on the driver's side. Investigators then re-examined the surveillance video from the night of the shooting. The Equinox captured in the video was the same one in the photo. Detectives asked SK how did he know the man in the picture, and he told them that back in August, he was talking to a girl, and while the two never met in person, they always spoke on the phone and FaceTimed each other. SK said that during one of their FaceTime calls, he got into an argument with their brother Maj, who was a well-known Grape Street Crip. Maj bragged to SK that he beat up his older brother, who was also from Bounty Hunters, and SK dissed Grape Street and one of their dead members. SK said after the FaceTime call, he saved a photo of Maj to his phone to remember what he looks like. Investigators learned that Maj was an 18-year-old man named Ramaje Blumfield. Ramaje had recently graduated from Roosevelt High School, where he was a star athlete. He was great at track and field, but he excelled at football and helped lead the Rough Riders to victory on numerous occasions and was bound for college. Investigators then learned that Tryon and Ramaje were cousins. At that point, they knew there was never a girl waiting for SK and the others on Maple Avenue. Tryon and Ramaje had lured them to the location using a fake Instagram profile, and once the Range Rover pulled up, they tried to kill them. On November 5th, 2020, investigators went to Ramaje's family home to question them about the shooting. They saw the Equinox parked nearby. On November 23rd, officers saw Ramaje standing in front of a double-parked black Infiniti with the doors open. As the officers approached, he became startled. He reached inside the car and then stood up and closed and locked both the doors. As officers got closer, Ramaje took off running. They didn't chase him because they already knew who he was and could catch him at a later time. Instead, they chose to investigate the Infiniti. Officers looked through the window and saw a rifle on the passenger side that had been partially covered by a sweater. They then had probable cause to search the car. The rifle was a Blue Steel Bushmaster Carbon 15. There were 30 rounds in the magazine.
Whoa. We not gonna just pass by that. And you know it's California, so they don't play about gun laws. What type of gun was it?
Car. The rifle was a Blue Steel Bushmaster Carbon 15.
Blue Steel Bushmaster. Hold on. All right, let me see. This is probably most likely what it was. I know they got like, where is it? This one, but it looked like fully decked out though, with the long barrel. This one got a stock though. This one doesn't, so it's probably this one. Probably this one. I don't think it would be this, but god dang. You know, California don't play about their gun laws.
Magazine and one in the chamber. They also found a blue steel 9mm handgun on the driver's side floor. It had 20 rounds in a drum magazine and 1 round in the chamber. The 9mm was a polymer 80, or better known as a ghost gun. Ghost guns are essentially homemade weapons made with parts that can be ordered online or 3D printed. The guns aren't registered and have no serial number, making them extremely difficult for law enforcement to trace. After running the Infinity's license plate number, investigators learned that Ramaje was the car's registered owner. Investigators then tracked down Ramaje and arrested him on gun charges. Detectives ran ballistics tests on the 9mm. They found that all 16 of the shell casings recovered from the scene of the Maple Ave shooting came from the gun. Also, 9 out of the 12 fire bullets that were recovered from the scene, as well as Jamel and Million's bodies, matched the 9mm. The other 3 bullets were too damaged to make a comparison, but investigators concluded that the 9mm was the murder weapon. Detectives then learned that the gun had not only been used during the Maple Avenue shooting, but it was also used in 2 other shootings. 2 weeks before the murders, on October 1st, a bounty hunter member named Calvin was shot at an apartment complex on 83rd Street. Officers found multiple shell casings and bullet fragments in the back of the building, in the parking lot, and in a nearby alley. They were all fired from a .40 caliber handgun and the 9mm. A week later, on October 8th, a bounty hunter member named Dominique was sitting in his black Infinity on Chateauround Avenue when someone approached the car and opened fire multiple times. Dominique was shot in the back. 19 bullet casings and 1 bullet fragment was recovered from the scene. They were all fired from a .40 caliber handgun and the 9mm. Ramaje's charges were then upgraded to 2 counts of murder for the deaths of Jamel Hill and Milian Colquitt.
So they didn't even throw away the guns. They just riding around with the gun. They just riding around with the gun. They don't ever think that they gonna get caught. And they using the same. They using on Instagram. They using their personal they're using their personal email in their personal phone, and they didn't think that they would get caught.
And the attempted murders of DJ, JM, and SK, as well as conspiracy and gun charges. Detectives then obtained search warrants to access Ramaje and Trion's cell phones. Cell phone towers placed them both at the scene of the shooting on 83rd Street.
And they brought their phone with they brought their phone with them to do the crime. They brought their phone with them to do the crime. Do they not be reading reports where they say that they can ping your phone off of phone cell towers? They've been doing that since ever since smartphones came out. They've been pinging phones off of the cell towers. You gonna bring your gun?
Chateauround Avenue and the shooting on Maple Avenue. During the search of Ramaje's phone, investigators saw a video that he had taken in September of 2020. The video showed Ramaje driving down the street and throwing up gang signs. The camera then panned to Tryon in the passenger seat. He was holding the 9mm. In a picture that was taken a week after the murders, on October 21st, investigators saw Tryon holding the 9mm. Detectives continued working the case, and in May of 2021, Tryon was arrested and charged with 2 counts of murder for the deaths of Jamel Hill and Milian Colquitt, and the attempted murders of DJ, JM, and SK, as well as conspiracy and gun charges. Ramaje and Tryon each pled not guilty. They were never charged with the 83rd Street and Chateauround Avenue shootings. Tryon's trial began in February of 2022. The prosecutor painted Tryon as a heartless killer. He said the shooting wasn't just a gang shooting because the amount of cunning, planning, and patience it takes to create a fake Instagram profile, keep tabs on the target, wait for weeks until contacting him, and then luring him to a location with the intent to kill him is a different level of evil. The prosecutor then showed the court the video and picture of Tryon holding the murder weapon. He then presented cell phone records that showed Tryon was near Maple Avenue at the time of the shooting. Ultimately, Tryon was found guilty of murder for the deaths of Jamel Hill and Milian Colquitt and the attempted murders of DJ, JM, and SK, as well as conspiracy to commit murder. Tryon Bird was sentenced to 142 years to life.
142 years, huh? Dang. I ain't gonna lie, he might as well self-delete. I ain't gonna lie. 142 years?
In prison. On June 4th, 2024, every charge against Ramaje, with the exception of possession of an assault weapon, was dismissed due to lack of a speedy trial. He took a plea deal for the gun charge, but on the same day his charges were dismissed, the district attorney refiled them. His trial began on September 20th, 2024. The prosecutor painted Remaje as a cold-blooded killer with no regard for human life. He told the court that Remaje felt disrespected after the argument with SK and planned for revenge. He then conspired with Tryon to lure SK to Maple Avenue, where they intended to kill him. The prosecutor showed the court the picture of Remaje standing in front of the same Equinox that was caught on video at the scene of the shooting. He then told the court that the murder weapon was found in Remaje's Infiniti, and he presented cell phone records that showed Remaje was near Maple Avenue at the time of the shooting. Ultimately, Remaje was found guilty of murder for the deaths of Jamel Hill and Milian Colquitt and the attempted murder of SK, as well as conspiracy and gun charges. He was acquitted of the attempted murders of DJ and JM. Remaje Blumfield was sentenced to 53 years to life in prison. Jamel and Milian's memories live on through their family and friends. They're remembered as fun-loving and bright young men that were destined to do great things in life, but were taken way too soon. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Please like, comment, and subscribe.
The other one got 143 years to life. He got 53 to life. Hey, man. A random female telling you to pull up is the biggest red flag. And the Instagram look fake. It look off. Like, girls usually have highlights in their stories. Like, it just wouldn't look right with me, because girls usually have highlights. That Instagram account did not have no highlights. Right, how thirsty are y'all? Yeah, it's crazy. Back in 2020 to 2021, it happened to a lot of people in Los Angeles, but it was more like once a year. You get a random DM from some girl on IG making small talk. Then later she asks to hook up. I remember one person who straight up asked me to hook up immediately at 1 a.m. and even sent me an address. The spot she sent me was in South Central, right between a neighborhood run by NH. Wait, did he say Newborn? No, I don't know. By NH in 18th Street. It was a house still under construction. I was like, F no, and I blocked her right away. Yeah. Hold on. You look up these houses on Google that these random girls be saying, it would be abandoned houses. It'd be like houses that you know ain't nobody living in. And that's why you don't trust some rando on Instagram or any social media. True. Ain't no way I'm pulling to meet up someone, no matter how much we talk prior. When I get there, call you and you don't answer, I'm out. I'm not sitting nowhere, because this is exactly what can happen. Somewhat happened to my boy back in the early 2000s. He met some chick on AOL. Oh, not dial-up. Man asked me to roll with him to meet her in, where is this? Amtrak. Milwaukee. We pull up. He messages her. They don't respond. Messages again. They respond. You shouldn't always trust who you talk to online. We immediately dipped. Oh yeah. Just think these dudes were on both sides. On both sides, could have probably made it to the NFL if they worked hard enough, but ended up in the middle of some gang bull crap. Come on, everyone. This gang is played out. It's 2025. Whole gang is geeked. It's not cool anymore like it was in the 90s when it was cool. Nowadays, it's all about trying to make it out of the hood and become rich. Leave all that tough guy behind. Go play your sports. Try to make it to the league and take care of your family, man. You don't have to prove it, man. The gang culture never been cool. I don't know what Buddy's talking about. Gang culture never been cool. I don't know what year you was born, but gang culture never been cool.
Well, yeah, I'm back again. I done took so many losses, took that shit right on the chin. Now they see the tables turn, Betty touching Eminem. Know that boy Draft gon' make it jump, straight up out the gym. From the concrete to the lead, this shit came within. Been hitting hoes, I might leave. What if I hit the scene, I was just a teen. But my mind was stuck on getting cream. Can't get caught up in this shit, whatever I want, you know I'ma go get it then. If I can't get you, I'ma get your twin. All these guns fed, they gon' switch like a audible. I got